When we enter a trust deficit in any industry, but in particular the coaching and services marketplace, one of the first signs is people start buying very differently. And instead of doing impulse buys, they tend to take a long time to vet, to feel into the decision, to research, to really make sure they're making the right decision. You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 418. And today we have to talk about an epidemic we're experiencing in the coaching and expert based marketplace, which is driven by low trust in the buying process. You ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, it's Melanie Benson, your authority amplifier for expert-based entrepreneurs and ripple makers. And today, I want to bring something into the community that's kind of going on in the inner circles of different coaching and influencers, and that's this idea that we've entered into a trust deficit in our industry. And I am not going to pretend that I am an expert in this in any way, shape, or form, but I do believe that we need to start having this conversation and bring new possibilities into the buying process, into the marketing process, if we're going to shift the dynamics that are occurring. And one thing I know for sure is that without trust, the sale won't occur. Without trust, transformation doesn't occur. And without trust, a lot of coaches and experts and service providers start to see very slow or low sales. Now, I think there's a lot of factors that are going into what we might consider a trust deficit economy. I think that there's not one key thing, but two things that are really huge that I've noticed personally. And, being in this industry for since 2000, so as we're airing this, what's that, 24 years? There's a couple of distinctions that I think are really important. And one is, and I see a lot of noise in certain social circles about coaches being charlatans or the coaching industry being run by influencers who make big promises and don't deliver, right? Like there's a lot of noise. People have been burned a lot by coaching programs that haven't delivered results. And I think there's an important distinction that we have to bring to the forefront. And that is there's a very big difference between coaches who are really, really good at what they do. They've been trained, they've had experience, they've had maybe even a certification. They understand what coaching is and what it isn't. And marketers, people who are really good at marketing and sales, recognizing that people need coaching, building coaching programs, and trying to deliver coaching programs with the goal of scaling revenue. And I'm not trying to dish on that second type of program, but what I think has happened is there's been this enmeshment of the word coaching, and so people who are selling coaching to buyers who don't have this awareness don't understand that they need to really dig deep and understand what is the sales proposition, what is the value proposition, and what is the track record and the delivery of this person who's really good at marketing and sales. Can I trust them to deliver what they say they're going to deliver? And I believe this is the crux of the matter is we have a lot of people promising a lot of things who don't have the training, who don't have the expertise, but have a program and probably a coach telling them to go out there and sell this thing without proven results. While we have great coaches who maybe aren't masterful marketers, who are uncomfortable with selling and are not going to give big brash promises, who can deliver amazing results but aren't flashy. They're not standing out the way these marketers are comfortable standing out. And hence, we have this economy, this culture built on flashy sells. And some of that involves some emotional manipulation. Some of that is using questionable marketing that overpromises and underdelivers. So again, I don't want to throw shade on anybody's programs. What I do want is to start illuminating two things. One, as a coach who's been trained, who can guarantee results, who is maybe not so good at marketing and selling, an opportunity for you in this marketplace is for you to step into being seen, to be more visible, to learn how to cultivate trust in your buying process. The second opportunity is to educate our buyers, educate our communities and our audiences about what is important for them in the buying decision. And honestly, a lot of the times that they buy into the flashy programs that can't deliver, that end up disappointing them, it's because they didn't actually know what they needed. They didn't understand the difference between somebody who's good at marketing, who has a coaching program, and a trained, highly experienced coach who is capable of delivering actual transformation. And the wrapper doesn't have that flash. So let's talk about how I see this trust deficit emerging right now. First of all, I've already mentioned it. We're seeing a huge buyer hesitation. We're seeing increased scrutiny. We're seeing a lot of people using social media to voice their disappointment and outright outrage, if you will, at trust, with the lack of trust, I should say, with people who they've bought into over and over and over again. Now, whenever I see patterns like this, it tells me that this person is seeking something that they don't know how to get, and they're just kind of chasing the shiniest thing in front of them. So that's again like developing a muscle of really understanding how to spot real results that are possible for them. I've heard so many times from people, "Oh my gosh, I wish I would have learned about your program before I joined the other program because I got nothing out of it, or if I felt like I spent a lot of money and I didn't get the outcome." And that's huge. And that tells me that, again, the flashy sells, and they're just going where they see the shiniest thing. So when people start having more hesitation, what does that translate for us? It translates to slower buying process. It translates to I'm holding off on making any big decisions because I don't feel I can trust my own decision-making process. Another sign or factor I think that's contributing right now is that there's a lot of skepticism of big promises. Now, here's what's really interesting. That used to move the needle. That used to be the thing that marketing and messaging said, do these big promises. Now, I had a coach who was really wise, been a friend of mine for many years, and he would say, only promise something big if you can deliver it. And I think that's wise counsel here. Because if you're saying, I can get you this in 10 days, or I can get you this in 90 days, you better be able to back it up. And little deeper, you better choose the right clients who will do the work that support that claim. See, what's happening in these big scalable programs is they're not really vetting clients, they're just going for scaling the number of people in it. So people aren't capable, they're not ready, they're not in the right place, they don't have the resources, they don't have the accountability to lean into the actual steps required to deliver that outcome, and so it's not working. I had a client who I vetted very thoroughly, but I missed a couple things in their current situation, and she was upset that she didn't get the full $7,500 return on investment, even though she got $6,400 of it, and it had only been 4 months. So, I mean, and the truth was she was not giving herself the bandwidth to implement. And this is where some of the skepticism, some of the breakdown happens is we have to make sure that we're vetting our client base. We're really looking at, can this client actually have the best chance of getting that result? Now, we can't helicopter coach, obviously, but if we're going to make big promises, we got to make sure we're doing our job to lean into that and make sure the dots are dotted and the T's are crossed. I think we also see a lot of these cookie cutter programs, and they don't personalize results. And I think people become very skeptical of a template, a system, a maybe a cookie cutter, follow my process kind of approach. And if you are leading with that in your marketing, you may notice that that's becoming a buying obstacle for a lot of people who are really looking for more personalized or done for you, done with you approaches. A couple other things I'm seeing right now is we're seeing a huge shift in the impact of social proof. So social proof is when you get testimonials, and testimonials demonstrate a possible outcome. Well, between what's happening with the FTC and, some people can just make this crap up, I think people are not trusting, especially when they see big claims that don't feel like something they can achieve. So there's a unique balancing act that we're looking at is like, how do we bring more authenticity, more realness, more live demonstrations, more client interactions, more um, possibility forward claims instead of these outrageous claims that people go, well, that couldn't work for me. And so it kind of backfires because it feels so unrelatable instead of relatable. And now that I've mentioned the FTC, we've had a huge surge in the FTC and their oversight. And I think we're going to see this play massively into how people can make claims, how people recognize the value of a program. The FTC, I don't know the whole thing in and out, but you probably should research it. If you use monetary or outrageous claims in your marketing, you need to look at like what the oversight is. They are going after coaches and service providers that are maybe over grandiosing their deliverables, and it's not something that most people can achieve. And so now this is also bringing in a trust issue. So I think what we're seeing is we need more transparency and more authenticity, more relatability in our marketing, in our communities, in our social media presence, and to really look at, is the message I'm putting out, is the opportunity that I'm conveying laden with authenticity and relatability and even transparency, so that it's not about this super polished marketing, this shiny opportunity, but like really speaking to the vulnerability and to the need of your ideal clients, really painting a clear picture of what somebody can achieve. So one of the old paradigms was you sell people what they want and give them what they need. And I do believe that that's part of the process. However, if we want to be trustworthy, I think we have to dive even deeper and really meet people in the moment of, look, if you're committed to this outcome, let's be real about what's involved in getting there. And yes, you may lose some people who are not coaching worthy, who are not really ready to lean in and do what it takes. So you have to ask yourself, do I want more revenue and clients, or do I want more clients getting results? I work with people who are ripple makers. These are people that want to make a great big impact. They're willing to take bold action, but really they're transformation driven. They want to see transformation in the work that they do and the communities they serve. And in doing that, there's a piece of that of like, I want to work with people who will do the work. So if they're not going to do the work, are they really a great client? Probably not. So how do we move the needle even deeper to get out of this trust deficit and into connectivity? I think that's really the key here. Think about the impact that AI has had in our community this year. Think about the rise of coaches coming out of the pandemic. Think about, and who most of which had no training, but they needed to make money, right? They were looking for a way to leverage their captivity at home into something that would make them money. Well, we need to counterbalance that. If you're like me and you've been in business a long time, you have a track record, you have this deep desire to authentically transform the people that you are meant to serve, here's some things you can be doing. Right now, just look at ways, how can you be more authentic? Yes, that might bring some vulnerability to the top, but I got to tell you, people would rather hear your story about all the things that didn't work and how you found your way through than a pretty painted picture on Instagram of this life that you're living that really they find out behind the scenes is not true at all. That in itself is part of the big problem with our trust deficit. The picture that's painted doesn't match what's inside the package, doesn't match the real life story. So the more you can be real, the more you can share the struggles, the more you can share the successes. Now, you don't have to share the open gaping wound, but it's very powerful to present the scars, how you got them and how you healed them. Okay. So authenticity is vital right now. I'm not saying I've always been perfect at it. And I will just share that I got brainwashed early on in my career to paint the picture of what people want to see. It was brutal for me because I bought that and then I realized how soul sucking that was. And in 2008, 2009, I was like, I cannot be on that path anymore. And it really caused me to dig deep into what is authenticity in marketing? And how can I share my stories that really, truly have moved me as a business owner? How can I share my own trials and tribulations? How can I share the hard earned knowledge that propelled me to where I am today in a way that's relatable, not so grandiose that people are like, whatever. Another thing that I think we can start doing is recognizing the value that we have. Like if you don't know your real value proposition, we have to build a bridge between the need that your client base has and the value that you can bring to the world. And that bridge is your lighthouse message. I talk a lot about lighthouse messaging. It's basically the way that you guide somebody from the world that they're living in to the offer that you have and recognize what is the message that is so relatable and so authentic and so engaging that they want to travel over the bridge to your world and explore your offers with you. And that valuable solution that you have is no longer invisible in that space. Now, how you get to trust is you have to nurture relationships. I think this is missing for a lot of people. They're in this, how do I move the needle? How do I get sales in the door right now? And I got to tell you, like, I'm not seeing that happen as much. Maybe if you're like a superstar celebrity entrepreneur, people are still in that, like, I'll just buy whatever you have. But I think that's dying out with this trust deficit. And I think what is working is trust over time, building one day at a time, one conversation at a time, one connection at a time with consistent value driven content that speaks to the needs of your clients. Interesting fun fact: the last 4 authority accelerators that I run, the most attendees, the most people that signed up had known me a decade or longer, right? I have clients that worked with me in 2004, 2005, 2008, 2009, signing up to work with me again because I've been nurturing those relationships for a long time. I've stayed the course. I keep showing up. I keep building value. I keep solving the problems that they have. And when they have new problems that meet what I do and they're resonating with my lighthouse message, they're saying yes. Now, I'm not saying you got to wait a decade, but what I am saying is trust is earned over time. So look at your nurturing sequences. Look at how you're building trust in a relationship. How consistent are you? Are you following up with people, not just in email, but reaching out and personalizing your connection? The other people that are joining, it's because we are personally reaching out to them and saying, hey, I see you. What do you need? Okay. So, and I'll wrap up with this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, by the way. This is a connection game, not just a conversion game. We are building real connection with people in this world that we're in. This is not a artificial platform. This is life. And I think people are craving connection. Now, that might look like they want a personalized reach out. That might look like they need to be experiencing you at an event. That might mean that they want to be seen as a human being with real needs. They don't want to be considered another sale. They don't want to feel like another conversion. They don't want to feel like they're part of your grand plan to go travel the world on their investment. They want to feel like what they need matters. And if you can make people feel valued, feel seen, starting with your messaging and leading to the value and the delivery of your programs, you're going to have clients for life. And I think we can um, dissolve uh, this derailing process of people not having trust when you really show up with that in your life and in your marketing and in your sales. So I'd be very curious to hear how this is resonating with you. And I know that the messaging piece isn't always easy. The marketing sometimes is a little elusive. The what am I supposed to do to be seen more? And if you know you're here to make a big impact, you want to be making big waves with your work, but you're not seeing the results, I'm going to encourage you to take my new quiz. It's called the Ripple Makers Readiness Quiz. This is a really powerful opportunity to kind of self-audit where you are. So when I work with clients, I do a very involved audit about where they are, what's working, what's not working. And that's part of my VIP or my onboarding for Authority Accelerator. But you can do this for free with my quiz. It's 10 really simple questions, and you're going to get a custom output based on how you score and what you can be doing right now to start building trust, to build those connections, to be seen, to be visible with the work that lights you up and the world needs. Let's face it. If you're listening to this show, I know you want to make a difference, and I know you just need a better way, a more aligned way to be able to shine. So go take the quiz, melaniebenson.com/quiz. I'll also link it up in the show notes. And hey, if you want to unpack those results, watch for an opportunity to jam on a call one-on-one together to look at how your path to more impact and more income can look when you dig deeper into the trust and the impact. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.